Welcome to Lower the Bar with John and Joe. Remember to breathe. This is your Power Hour. Hey. Welcome back. I'm John.
And I'm Joe.
We are happy to have you back again. And as we discussed in our last podcast, we are going to just say briefly about who we are. So I practice what's called internal entrainment cellular therapy. And I'm able to manipulate my vocal cords to create solfeggio frequencies. And I had a NDE, a near-death experience, almost a decade ago. And after that happened, I discovered that I harbor massive amounts of electromagnetic energy in my body. So I'm able to channel that energy with these frequencies into the body to target errant cells to transmute cell structure. And it's an ancient modality, but it's really cutting-edge science, quantum entanglement. And I recently have discovered that I don't need to use this toning so much anymore, that actually my speaking voice emits solfeggio frequencies now. So all of this has happened in the last few weeks for me. So it's really quite incredible and remarkable, and I'm so grateful.
Bottom line is you're a healer. And your healing abilities have expanded and continue to do so.
Yes.
Which is awesome.
Yeah. So, Joe, you're up.
I am a master hypnotist and trainer. I am a 5-path practitioner, which means I bring certain techniques that only 500 other people in the world have learned with my clients. I also teach all my clients 7-path self-hypnosis, so they never need a therapist again, because they've learned how to use their subconscious mind as their therapist. And when you practice it daily, it works very well. I also do past life. We do group sessions, John and I. We also do classes together. We do a lot of different things. In fact, we're expanding.
We are.
But today, we're going to talk about synchronicities and how what you might think, gee, I can't believe that happened. Synchronicities are purposeful, and we want you to increase your ability to understand your intuitiveness, because everyone is intuitiveness. But the more you pay attention to it, the more it will empower you, and the more it will express itself. So synchronicities have purpose. We want you to start looking at them. So we're going to talk about things that have happened to us throughout our lives. And I bet you're going to be listening saying, you know what, something like that happened to me. It's a synchronicity. So John, would you like to tell us something in your life that you think, it was synchronistic, but very purposeful?
It happens to me on a daily basis. So, I mean, I couldn't even pinpoint one specific thing, but it happens to me daily, at least 3, 4, 5 times a day. And it's really funny, as this unfolds, I used to say, oh my gosh, I can't believe that just happened. Or, oh, that's crazy, And I realize now that it's synchrony, and when I stop to sort of step outside the circle, Joe, to look at it, it becomes much clearer to me, too.
Because it was meant to happen?
Yes. And then I think, oh, okay, what is the connection, my connection to the experience?
What was the purpose of it?
Yes.
Yeah.
And well, there's synchronies and there are deja vus.
Okay. Maybe we should talk about the difference.
Well, you can share, we know what deja vu literally means from the French, already seen.
Deja means already, vu is the past tense of seen. When you experience something and you say to yourself, wait, didn't I do this a long time ago. Haven't I been here? Didn't I meet that person? It's a deja vu. And it could come from a past life. Very often, though, it's not something that you did a couple of years ago. It happened, you can't usually figure out when you had the original.
Yes.
I can't call it deja vu because that's a repetition. You can't really figure out where the original event happened, but you know you've been here, done that before.
Which is a little bit different than synchronies.
Yes.
I think they fall under a similar category or the same category, but they're different entities. You know, I think they really do fall under kind of the space-time continuum, because they're definitely things that maybe you've experienced in a past life, or when you were a child, that you identify with. So that narrative can kind of leach into that storyline, right? That, oh, this feels familiar, but it's not really a deja vu. It's just something you're connecting with. But then there's also, which I guess you asked me to share, and I had time slippage this week. And I just was telling you the story. And I'll tell you guys the story. I got up in the morning and I went downstairs and went to make coffee, my morning coffee. And I have a thermos and I fill it with hot water every morning to, you know, heat the cup up so I'm not pouring it into a cold thermos. So I did that, and I had done the dishes the night before, but I didn't put them away because it was late and there was, you know, pots in the sink, whatever, not important, but I couldn't find I knew the lid because I pulled it off the rack, but I couldn't find the lid. And I knew the lid was on the rack because I picked the thermos up and just filled the water. So I had a lot of dishes and knives, and everything was on my drying rack. I have a dishwasher, but for some reason I don't use it. And I'm pulling, you know, putting away the plates, and I'm looking, and I'm getting down to the end, and I'm like, where the heck is the lid to the thermos? Like, I know that I put it there, you know, and then I turn to the side, Joe, and the lid is already on top of the thermos. Now,
most people would say you don't remember putting it there.
Yes, but I know I didn't because I specifically was looking for it through. It's like, you know, you accidentally throw something out and you're looking through the garbage and you find it in the garbage because you knew you threw it out. Like you threw it out. Okay, same kind of feeling. I knew I did not put the lid on top because I was putting the dishes away so I could find the lid. So the connection to the act I was doing was directly related to the top. And that's why when I turned around and saw it there, and it didn't feel like a deja vu or anything. It felt like time slippage because I know I didn't do that. And it wasn't like trickster energy, and that's a whole nother thing we can get into at another point of spirit. It didn't feel like spirit. It actually felt like a time slip. And that happens too. And as I think as you gain consciousness, you elevate your consciousness and you begin to vibrate at a certain frequency, these types of, I don't want to say a modality, but these sort of paradigms, the way life unfolds in front of you begin to happen. That's what I said. I have at least, and I'm not exaggerating, 5 to 6 times a day, almost every single day, Joe, where it would be the kind of appropriate thing to say, oh my gosh, I can't believe this just happened. Like, oh my gosh.
Especially the last 2 weeks.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, a lot, and our audience should know about this. There have been, and we've been talking about it, are these coronal mass ejections, these huge solar flare events that have been happening in the last 2 weeks. Because we're at solar maximum now, till the end of the year.
Wow.
The sun is on an 11-year cycle. There's solar minimum and solar maximum. We are at the end of solar maximum. So this is why these large coronal mass ejections, CMEs, are happening, which are impacting our bodies. And all of our listeners should really know about this. I've had people that I've known, and friends and colleagues and clients, who have said in the last few weeks they've been feeling strangely or weird things, melancholy or
For no reason.
no reason, or pains. Again, you remember we talked about, and again, if you would listen to the podcast, you would know our discussions, but there was a period about 6 months ago where everyone I knew wasn't feeling right. And they were going to the doctor, and they would run tests and diagnostics.
Nothing's wrong.
Nothing. I had a friend who literally thought he was having a heart attack, and they're like, we don't know what you're talking about. Your blood levels are normal, your blood oxygen levels, we did a cardio echo, EKG.
Yeah.
There's literally nothing wrong with you. And they're swearing, I'm having a heart attack right now. This is,
Yeah. And then they'll say, well, that must have been gas.
Right. It's not gas, people. I mean, it could be for somebody, but there's a lot of energy. And again, identifying our bodies, getting in touch with it, which is really important. This is what meditation does. It brings you inward and helps you focus on your body, because your body's sending signals all the time.
Right.
Of a bigger picture. You're symptomatic of something, which is your body literally expressing, hey, something's out of whack or out of alignment. And we just need to pay attention to it, because if we do, we'll navigate our lives and our health so much better. Absolutely.
And also meditation puts you in touch with your subconscious mind.
Yes.
So the combination of being in touch with the subconscious and your body, they work together. In fact, so many things are caused in your body by uncomfortable things that are in your unconscious that it's good to meditate, at least a half hour a day, just to go inward and think about things. It really will bring things up that you need to move through that will help you live a happier life.
You can do it the line at CVS. You can do it anywhere. It's just holding space for yourself, being conscious and just closing your eyes, taking a deep breath. It's funny what motivates us, Joe. A lot of people go to that place when life is hectic.
Yeah.
Or they're overwhelmed.
Or they need an answer.
Yes. What we need to learn is how to just hold space for ourselves and come to that place in love. Oh, it's so funny, because I was just talking about this yesterday and 2 days before that to separate people. We all not we all do, but a lot of people have like their inner sanctum or their place where they go. I'm not talking about going to the bar the day of your work is over, but a special place where maybe it helps them gather their thoughts or helps ground them, or they just feel better. Some people close their eyes and imagine they're at the beach or in a tropical island. Those are sort of variants of that energy. But here's the thing about that, which is very important. So many people I work with or have talked to, even over the years, express a moment of needing to escape. Like it's so hectic, and I understand it, but that we can't go to that place vibrating in that frequency, in that experience of, I need to get out of here. I got to escape and go to my place. You need to hold space for yourself and come to that place in love, not escaping. You're not escaping to that place. You're arriving in that place.
So you just change your words, which
yes,
changes your feeling.
Yes,
it does.
But you're setting a tone.
That's what I mean. Yeah.
You're not escaping. You're not, because escaping is a way running away, and you're holding space for yourself to give to you. You're nurturing in that place, right? You're going to your sanctum, your safe place. So we don't want to come to that place out of that energy of I'm running. Life is hectic, or, the kids are driving me crazy. Oh my gosh, the way you look at that martini, or that beer, like, you don't want to come to these places, this place of sanctum, of holding space, running away.
You don't want to come with that attitude.
Yes, it's
Yeah.
the complete opposite.
Yeah, it's a good point.
And we need to really pay attention to that, because there's certain exercises and modalities that we do that kind of force energies, even though we think we're doing for ourselves. And that's not really how we get there.
And I think the more that we do that, the more we are able to tap into our intuition and be observant and realize there's purpose to synchronicities. That didn't just happen. Think about what was caused by that, or what the outcome. I don't even like to use the word cause. What was the result of that? And I'll give you an example. I remember growing up that my mom had 11 children. Her sister had 13 children. And when they all moved to Kentucky, because GE was opening a plant there and my uncle was going there, they built a GE house with everything you could think of, which was wonderful for that big family.
Back in the day, we're going back to the 70s now.
Even
Earlier? Early
maybe
70s.
the late 60s.
Oh, okay.
Maybe the late 60s.
So this was, again, at that time, cutting edge.
Oh, definitely was. GE was putting these things in their people's homes to try them out. I mean, it was new stuff. It was computerized, because I can remember some of the things that were in it. Anyway, so my uncle loved being a dad and was very involved in Boy Scouts, Girl Scouts. And then we heard he lost his job. And it was awful. And then one of the children was hit by a car riding a bike, a 5-year-old crossing the street. So my aunt became very, very depressed. And we never found out why he lost his job. And we were all very close, but that changed things. It's hard for me to even remember anything after that. But we always wondered, why did he lose his job?
So where does the synchrony come in?
In 1973, my husband surprised me with a trip to Africa, which was shocking. And it was a trip, an American Express trip with 40 other people. One of the people on the bus, every night you had to change your place where you ate dinner. And we were eating dinner with this man who told me he was from Kentucky. And I said, oh, my family, blah, blah, blah. He said, I know your family. I said, you do? He said, yes, your uncle was my neighbor. I said, what? He said, oh yes, your uncle was so involved with Boy Scouts. And I'm thinking, are you kidding me? I think I was in Mohammedia to find out why my uncle lost his job. He said, oh yes, I remember when he lost his job. He just came out with it at GE because he was spending so much time with the Boy Scouts instead of working. And I went, oh my God, I had to come to Africa to learn that. It was unbelievable. And yeah, there was purpose to that because, of course, I went home and told my mom. And boy,
Yeah,
that's...
well, I mean, what are the chances?
What
that
are the chances?
You're in Africa.
Meeting someone who knew my family, who knew the answer to a question we had thought about and longed for the years.
That's synchrony.
Yeah.
That is purposeful.
Yeah.
Now, there are many sort of catalysts to where it's coming from. You know, it could be your angels, it could be a loved one, sending these messages. So we need to pay attention to these synchronies in our life. You know, we are sent a lot of messages, Joe.
We need to listen.
All the time.
We
don't
trust
listen.
them. I know. And we don't trust that they're a message.
No, because we're taught to not believe. You know, we're conditioned.
Or to think before we say the message. But I've had times where I just all of a sudden the message came out of my mouth. And the more I hang with you, the more it happens.
So again, awareness. We're talking about synchronies and how they impact us and their purpose, but, I guess the bigger message here is pay attention.
Pay attention.
Yes.
Trust your intuition. Listen and look for the purpose. Really look for the purpose.
We never take the time, Joe.
Well,
we don't stop to listen. We don't, again, lower the bar was birthed out of that narrative of just appreciating where you are in your life, who you are, and to go inward, to honor yourself, hold space for yourself. We are the most incredible vessels. This body is capable of incredible things. Literally miracles that we call miracles. We are fully capable of. It's comes from awareness, an understanding, going inward. And that's the key to everything. Everything that you do in your life is based on awareness and the awareness you have and the willingness to learn and to
trust.
Yes.
Trust your intuition.
Yes. And to be vibrating in a place of just love and compassion and benevolence, because that's where it comes from. We are so hard. That was, I'll share something personal. That was one of the hardest paradigms, templates for me to really integrate, understand, and digest, is learning to trust myself, love myself. I didn't know it. I didn't know what gratitude was. I didn't know how to receive love, which is a very, very difficult inner kind of work that you have to do. If you don't know how to receive love or any of those energies, you have a tough road ahead of you. It takes a lot of work. There's a lot of suffering. I can imagine how many people gave up, suicide and whatever, because they couldn't and know how. And the feeling of isolation, of alone, of being alone,
when they aren't alone, but they still feel that.
Yes. It's self-inflicted at that point because they don't know how to receive the love.
Is it because they don't love themselves?
Yeah, of course not.
Yeah.
That's it. It's that, I didn't. I mean, I thought I did on some level.
Sure, of course.
But truly, I never did.
I didn't appreciate.
No. Well, that was
you
it.
Are.
No, I didn't. I was very filled with guilt, shame, self-loathing, disgust, just beat myself up. I was bad. It wasn't overt. It was really almost passive-aggressive internally.
Oh, definitely, because then you don't have to face it.
That's a really good point.
Yeah.
Oh, I never thought of that, but
Yeah.
that's very true. And I didn't for years. My whole life almost. I couldn't. I didn't know how, Joe.
It's so hard. You have to admit things and you have to forgive yourself.
That was the hardest point.
Yeah.
For me. Everyone has their own journey, their own life experience. But for me, forgiveness, just accepting and being okay with it was the hardest work I had to do innerly.
That's why we do it in every single hypnosis package, not in every session, but it's always
it's a part of
included.
the, yes.
Yeah, forgiveness of self, forgiveness of others. Even if it just builds compassion, you don't want to keep holding that baggage.
I can't help but say this. That was Christ's message. We all have this consciousness, this benevolence, this unconditional love in our heart. We just have to feel it. We have to become a part of it so we can forgive ourselves.
We also have to understand that we're worthy of that.
Well, yeah, all of that comes from that. And that's where, again, lower the bar is such an important message. So we can just be okay.
All these little things are accomplishments that create you. So this is why we have lower the bar. Don't be looking for up here, because that'll come. But it doesn't come all at once, so then most people give up.
Yes. Or we lose sight of it.
because it's so far away. So it's the
Yes.
little things.
Well, I think when we were talking about starting our podcast, that was such an important part of the journey is acceptance for self, you know, and taking what is given to you, what is presented to you in your life, whether it's physically, how your life unfolds, whether it's spiritually, or awareness that you have, so you can begin to love yourself, you know, plant those seeds. Because I'm just, again, I will only talk for myself, but from personal experience, that's the path. That's what was
That's
shown
right.
to me. Being in that space and acceptance. And listen, I'm going to tell you, Joe, it was really freaking hard for me. That was one of the most difficult things I ever had to do in my life, was acceptance. Being okay with just me, like that little John, that little kid inside, you know, because I never got any acknowledgement or any kind of anything, foundational energies from my parents. They were incapable. They did not know how to articulate, to express it.
And how did that empower you? Or I should say, didn't that empower you? Of course it did.
Well, it created a monster in a sense, because I didn't get it. So I created my own reality. I made up stories out the wazoo. Oh my God.
No, I meant when you finally learned to love yourself and became the person you were meant to be, that's very empowering.
Oh gosh, yes. But what's really interesting is you can't judge. You have to let it be. I began to integrate it when my father and my mother sort of came to the table and we began to talk and share, and I began to express my feelings to them about my childhood and my past. And once I was able to heal them and heal myself in that sort of catharsis, that process, I began to feel that. But I'm going to be honest with you, when I told you this, it finally took hold a week ago. After all those years, it finally took hold when I was dancing around my dining room table.
Listen to the last podcast.
And came to that awareness of, I really do love me.
Yeah.
I matter. That never, again, I was going through the process, again, you know, healing the family, doing all the things I had to, and I began to feel love, but it like was like Tetris. That final piece of the jigsaw just kind of dropped into place and created that wholeness,
It
that
wasn't words,
picture.
it was a feeling.
Yeah. Oh, it was absolutely a feeling. I burst into tears, but they were tears of joy.
Of course.
And I mean, literally, because my cheeks were hurting. That's never happened to me before. You know, it's that when you laugh so hard and you're smiling so hard and like literally like the muscles begin to like get sore. That's what it was like. But the tears are streaming down my face. I'm bawling, but I'm not bawling like, I'm not sobbing, but literally like a faucet, they're just running down. And I just felt this unconditional love. It was beautiful because I was feeling love from source and me being source. Like they integrated, they connected, and it was the most prolific moment of my life.
That's awesome.
But it takes a lot of work, people. Trust me when I tell you that.
But it's worth it. It's
oh my
worth
gosh, yes. Because you discover your heart song, your soul purpose. You know, what drives you, what gives you passion. You know, it's such an incredible experience to arrive there. So I'm so grateful and so blessed and humbled to be able to discover that. I mean, it's such a beautiful expression. If I can share that to our listeners, that feeling of when you work on yourself and things begin to synchronize. fall into place the way they're meant to be.
And you really love who you are.
Yes, that's kind of where you arrive. But what's so beautiful is the impact you begin to feel on others, because you begin to get feedback of the impact you're having on them. And that is one of the most empowering feelings I think you can feel.
I'll give you an example, because I'll go back to something that I thought was pretty synchronistic. One of my clients, and I was finished with hypnosis, but I get to know my clients really well, told me during her last 2 sessions that her company was closing. And oh my God, what's she gonna do? She's losing her job. She had a very good position with this company, but what she was doing was really giving her backaches on a regular basis. So she didn't know how she was going to handle that for the rest of her life, because she was about 53, and this is recent. And then her company closed. And I didn't say much to her because I didn't know what was going to happen. She called me up actually crying. Oh my God, Joe, what am I going to do? My company closed. I said, best thing that ever happened to you. She said, what? I said, it's the best thing that ever happened to you. Just wait. Trust me. Listen to your intuition. She said, well, they did say they're going to bring people in and we're all going to interview with. And I said, well, you love your job, but physically you can't do it anymore. So now you're going to have an opportunity. And I said, well, it's too bad you're not going to have any income for the next month till you get, oh no, they're giving us 6 weeks severance. I said, best thing that ever happened to you. She said, really? I said, yes. And she said, oh, I'm so glad I called you. Stop crying. Called me up 2 weeks later. Guess what? I got a new job and I haven't started it yet, but I know I'm going to love it. I've talked to her since then. She loves her new job.
Yeah, she's very happy.
She has weekends off. She's working 9 to 5. She couldn't be happier. I said, well, you just learned to trust your intuition. You knew that you were going to have great opportunities. Put it out there that you're going to take one of the ones that you're interested in.
Coming to a place of love, of self, helps in those scenarios as they unfold, by the way.
And that's one of the things she's told us, because she comes to our classes.
Yes.
From having hypnosis, I have really come to love myself for the first time in my life, which is awesome to hear that.
Well, you stay in your power.
Yeah.
That's where your power is.
Otherwise, you're a people pleaser.
Our listeners need to know that. We need to become self-contained, where we don't need validation. Not that we don't like to hear it, but we don't need it. It doesn't become a part of the internal vernacular, so to speak, where behaviors and pathologies are coming out and, it's interrupting the flow, so to speak, or preventing you from acknowledgement or understanding what's happening to you. So really, when we talk about, and we've mentioned this many times, love is the most powerful force in the universe.
Absolutely.
Whether it's for yourself or others. It is the key to...
Has to be for yourself.
Well, yes.
It's very hard to do for others, truly.
It starts with self,
yes.
So you can impact others, but everything changes in your life when you arrive
changes.
there. Yes. I
Love
can't stress it
compassion.
enough.
Nope.
I can't.
No, but it's time that we need to talk about what's coming, because this is our last podcast for this season.
Yes, people, this is the
end
of our season.
We're having so many synchronicities and opportunities that when we come back in the fall, we're going to have a lot of new things on our table to share with you. So it's going to be a very busy summer for us. We hope that you have a wonderful summer. Stay healthy, get a lot of sunshine,
yes,
and love each other.
That's a nice message, Joe. Well, we thank you guys for joining us as always, for the privilege of your time. And we look forward to seeing you in the fall. And we love you all, and we just send all our blessings and love to you, right?
And please feel free to email us during the summer if you have some ideas on things you'd like as topics that you'd like to talk about, or comments you'd like to make about our show and how we can serve you better. We're interested in anything you have to say.
Yes. And just one quick thing, we will be having guests on the show coming up, some very interesting people that I think our listeners will, extrapolate a lot of information from and receive their love and light as well. So thank you again for joining us, and have a great summer.